So, how have you been?
How have you been since high school?
Good, all over the place. I moved for like 3 years. So
Out of Texas or what?
Yes.
Oh, for real?
Denver.
Oh, dude.
Colorado.
Nice. That's awesome.
Why there?
I think after graduation, like I felt like I grew as much as I could being in hometown. Like, you know, they say like where you're comfortable, there's no room for growth. Like you have to be uncomfortable. So I just change of scenery, change of people, change of culture. That really is what drove me to move, is just to want to grow out of the culture and the people that I knew my entire life.
And do you feel like it helped?
Yes, I definitely came back a whole different person. Yeah.
Did you plan on being over there that long? What, 3 years you said?
I didn't plan on coming back.
Okay.
COVID brought me back, unfortunately, but I think that was part of like my spiritual journey. I think like God, or you know, whatever, I don't know if what y'all believe in, but for me, I just think that God put me in a place to grow, and then when he brought me back, it was to test that growth, like everything that I grew from and grew the person to be. Like if I went back to old ways or being around old people and old habits, like would I stay in that growth and be strong to be in that growth, or would I convert back to old ways, old habits?
That's deep.
Yeah.
But, so is there a specific like situation that I guess kind of made you I guess believe a little bit more to where you became a little bit more spiritual?
I just felt like there was a deeper, like, I don't know, the longer I was here after high school, the more I started to feel empty. Like, I felt like there was more for me in life than I couldn't figure out what it was being, like I said, in that comfort zone. So once I left, I kind of really, I guess my journey was to figure out who Kori was, because society had made me form into, like, what society wanted me to be. You know?
Everyone else was?
Yeah, what was trending was what I went for. And when I got out of that culture and went with a bunch of people, new culture, new people, new settings, it really made me dive deep into, like, who Kori is. And kind of, like, going back to, like, the child version of me, like, things that I liked as a kid that I kind of, like,
parted ways with because it wasn't cool, or my friends, like, you know, didn't like it, and so it made me go back into liking those things, and then also discovering new things that I didn't know I liked.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like that's like you said, I think a lot of us might need that, man. And honestly, so I haven't been I've been out of Texas like on like trips and stuff like that, but never like for years at a time without like let's say like any family around, because I feel like that could really test your like your faith and your limits, and just, you know, kind of being out there on your own. You really don't have anyone else in a way to rely on, you know. I'm sure you can call back home and maybe have a conversation, but I think that's might be like as far as it goes. And yeah, I think a lot of people would need that. Honestly, that sounds pretty good, but unfortunately I feel like now I'm in a situation where I have a house here, so I can't just go and move, you know what I mean?
I mean, it's not, I encourage everybody to do it for a little bit, maybe not permanently. Like, if you ever have the opportunity to do it, it doesn't even have to be out of state. I just decided to make a very big jump. I'm a very impulsive person, so I went one spring break, saw the mountains, and was like sold. Just like, I want to live here.
It's very beautiful out there.
It is.
I went with a couple of friends, like I think back in 2018, and man, it was very beautiful. It was like May, and it was still pretty cold outside. The weather was like, I think like 60s in the day, or like high 60s, low 70s in the day, and then at night it would get down to like probably like 40 degrees.
Yeah.
And it was very like, it was a very cool vibe and a very like just beautiful place to be around. We went to Breckenridge, Colorado, which is like, I think maybe 2 hours away from Denver.
Yeah, it's not that far.
Yeah, but it was a very beautiful place.
Yeah, I like the no humidity. That was nice.
Yeah, dude, that's
like dry air.
Yeah.
Like 40s felt like 40s.
Yeah.
Here 40s feels like 20 degrees.
Yeah. It's insane that humidity that Texas has is like definitely like no other. Like, I think there's even been a couple, like, so I'm a big football fan, so I hear like a bunch of players talk about who like used to play in Houston and stuff like that, and now they play for Arizona. It's like more like a dry heat in Arizona compared to like how it is in Texas. Like Texas is way worse because that humidity is just like
wet,
just killer, dude.
So I feel like a lot of people, like he was saying, they do need that. Like, they need to go find out who they are. But I feel like a lot of, like, they get too comfortable and they don't want to do it. I don't know, like, why do you think that is? Like,
I think out of human nature, it's easy to be comfortable and like go like stay around what's familiar because familiar is safe, right?
Yeah.
Like anything that's not familiar can be unsafe, and I think it's just out of like a subconscious fear of like the unknown and not knowing what's gonna happen or what's gonna change in your life. And people like, you know, they like, what is it called? I have pregnancy brain, so sometimes it doesn't.
No, you're good. It sounded like you were about to say like skeptical.
No, not skeptical. People like their patterns, like staying in the same schedule, staying in like the same like consistent routine. People like their routine, so I think it's the fear of getting out of your routine. It's just a lot of subconscious fear base of the unknown and getting out of comfortability.
I can definitely like agree to that because there's so right now I'm about to start this new job here soon next week, and it's kind of something I've never done before. So a part of me is like the current job.
Are you nervous?
Yeah, I'm pretty nervous. I'm not gonna lie to you. And like you said, I think it just has to do with being comfortable. Like part of me was like, no, like I can just go back to my like, and it would be way harder, right? So I can just like go back to my old job and probably work another part-time job, which I'd probably not be home at all very much, you know. Whereas if I just stay at this new job that's coming up, I would just be at that job and probably have weekends off. You know what I mean? And that would just be one job, and it would still be enough to pay for what I have to pay for. But like I'm thinking, and it's just like I think I keep reverting back because it's like it's what I've known. It's like comfortable, you know what I mean? Safety, and I'm not used and like not familiar with anything I'm about to be doing. So a part of me is just like I guess kind of nervous to learn it all. And honestly, I think I've always been that way, and that's something that I think I struggle with, but I know like once I get into it and once I start doing it, I'm just gonna be like, I don't think one person is like more special than like another person. I think that obviously we all have like maybe different qualities that might be better than the other, but I think at the end of the day, like I think if like someone can learn something, whether they be older or younger than me, like I think I can learn it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the way I've always been, and that's just kind of the mindset I'm going in there with, you know, like if they can learn it, I'm sure they have years of experience, but like if they can learn it, they started at a point where I was, you know. So like it's just gonna have to be just take it day by day and stuff like that. So yeah, it just kind of goes back to what you were saying as far as feeling comfortable and like wanting to go back to like something that's more familiar for safety. Like I definitely know that I do that sometimes, and that's something that, you know, like I've prayed recently and just kind of like talked to God, like, and just kind of let him know, like, and every time I do pray, I pray for like, it's not really anything. It's more like just the safety of other people around me. And I know, granted, I really can't control that, but it's like, you know, just I pray for like his family. I pray for like his girlfriend's family and the people that she cares about. And then like so on and so forth with all the rest of my family. And it's just kind of more to, I don't know, it kind of puts my mind at ease knowing that, because at the end of the day, like if something happens to those people that I don't have a relationship with, but like, let's just say like my girlfriend's family, you know what I mean? So my girlfriend's family, yeah, I have a relationship with them and I'd be upset if they were gone. But let's say friends of theirs that I'm not close with, that I don't know, like that's really close to them, they might pass away, and then at that point, like her family would be hurting for it, you know?
Yeah. And
I pray for that because it's like, I don't want them to be hurting, you know, because it's not a good feeling, but at the end of the day, it is life and you can't really control it. But those are things I pray for. And then recently I've been kind of like praying about, you know, like just show me and like an answer, whatever it may be. I don't know what it's going to be. And I'm sure it might not be like clear as day, like right in front of you, like, hey, like Johnny, go do this. It's not going to be like that. But I think it's more like just the decisions I make. And I don't know. I think at the end of the day, wherever I'm doing, wherever my journey takes me, I think it's going to be like the right decision. I just have to go into it with the right mindset and not the comfortable mindset. Like I have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think like my father talks about it, like you talk about it, like it's just like,
I feel like you have to be. In order to succeed, I feel like you have to be uncomfortable.
In order to grow, yeah, like as a person and like just like test yourself, I feel like that's a very like vital thing that you're supposed to do with your life.
Yeah.
Did you? So you lived in LaPorte?
Yes.
Whenever we went to school together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you moved to Denver, and you said you didn't plan on coming back, where do you live now?
Baytown.
Okay, damn, pretty close.
Why not come back to LaPorte?
I did COVID brought me back, and I moved back to the house that I lived with before, which was my mom. And I was in LaPorte for a little bit. Then I went to Deer Park, and now I'm in Baytown. I mean, it's all relatively the same to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what city I'm in.
They're all pretty close together.
Yeah, and socially, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Do you like Baytown better though, or?
No.
I don't like it. I don't want to say I don't like, but it's not preferred, this whole area. Like when I get back to a place where I'm more like stable as far as like household and stuff with my situation, probably going to be like on the other side of Houston.
Okay.
Like Katy.
Okay.
Yeah.
The nicer side.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it has nothing to do with, like I said, it's not that I dislike this area. It's just not preferred. And I just think that has to do with my experience on a social level.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. You know, like you said, that's your preference. Is more than likely one of the reasons why you like decided to kind of go out and like, I guess, like find who you are. Maybe all these different like opinions, or like you said, all these different people that might have been like, I guess, I don't know if like the right term would be like clouding your judgment, but just more like,
the right term I would put it is like being a generation breaker. So like my parents went to Deer Park, that's where they graduated, you know, and I feel like that's a lot of people around here. Like a lot of our parents either went to LaPorte, Deer Park, Pasadena. We went to LaPorte, Deer Park, Pasadena. If we get stuck, our kids are gonna go to LaPorte, Deer Park, Pasadena. So I kind of want to like
break that.
Yes, and that also has to do with like why I moved too. Is like it wasn't just friends in my social life, like outside my family. A lot of it had to do with my family too and their beliefs. And they have some really good beliefs and good morals, and then there are things growing up that I didn't necessarily believe in. Yeah. And so breaking away completely from family and friends like made me really kind of nitpick, like when I bring a kid into the world, like what morals and beliefs I'm going to pass down that I learn and which ones I'm going to stop, like, you know. And so that also has to do with why I don't prefer this area, because I want to be a generational like breaker and do something completely different with the next bloodline, and not, you know, I don't want my kid to go to the same place that the last 3 generations went to and kind of got stuck in the same area. You know, I want them to have a little bit of a different experience in life and different culture. And, you know, I don't want every person that they're going to school with to be like, oh, I know your mom and dad. I know your mom. You know,
I know your aunt, your uncle.
Yeah, no shit. No, that definitely does make sense. And I think that's pretty cool, because that's something we talked about in like a recent episode where I feel like a lot of kids our age, I mean, we're what, 25?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So like 25 years old, like a lot of them are having kids, and a lot of them have had kids. And I remember just talking about it with a friend recently, and I'm like, you know what, I guess it's not really that weird anymore that like they're having kids, because we're like in our mid-20s now. So I feel like it's kind of normal.
5 years from 30.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? That shit's wild.
Old.
But it's like, it's not as weird as it was when you were like, I guess like maybe 20 or 21. And not that there's anything.
Or 18, 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
but there was people in
you're just
like
very
15.
Yeah.
16 having kids. That's wild.
And I like look, you're just very young at that age, and I feel like you're not even like, you haven't even really lived life yourself, you know. So I feel like that kind of it kind of maybe can stunt a person's growth and whatnot. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think having kids is a beautiful thing. I don't necessarily want any myself right now, but I do think it can be a very beautiful thing for a person, because I feel like it definitely puts you on a different path in life, to where like you, and I guess it also just depends on the person whether they're like worth the shit or not, in my opinion. But like you're not going to be doing the same things, or at least I feel like maybe you shouldn't. You know, I feel like you should, just depending on what you're
talking, like going to the clubs.
Yeah, like maybe going to like a club, or like maybe hanging out with friends, and kind of maybe prioritizing certain things over like raising like a child, you know. And I just don't think that it was. I fucking lost my train of thought. God damn it.
This is. Are you excited?
I am.
Yeah.
Are you nervous?
At first I was, but I feel more confident now, because just like Johnny was saying, it does switch your perspective. If you allow the opportunity, And I guess it's with anything, not just with a kid. If you allow the opportunity for growth to be there and you seize that opportunity for growth, you will grow as a person. Like, you can change your priorities at any time in your life.
Yeah.
Like, when you make the decision you want to. Sometimes people just happen to do it when they have a kid, and some people don't. Some people choose not to. They still want to be selfish in their ways, and they don't take the opportunity to growth. But opportunity of growth is always there in anything. But it is definitely done. I was already, on the right path, making my changes, but it just made my foundation and my growth like way more solid.
Yeah. I think that's awesome, because I think if I ever do decide to have a kid one day, I think that's exactly how I'll see it. And don't get me wrong, like, just the way I see it right now is, I'm like, okay, if I have a kid right now, I have to kind of give up, like, in a way, my freedom. And that's how I know in my mind I'm not necessarily ready for a child right now. And I think if it were to happen too, like, I don't think I necessarily have that same mindset. It'd just kind of be like, all right, well, it is what it is. I did what I did. Now I have to kind of be responsible for it. And I think I had really good parents to kind of like pave the way and I think show me like how to be a good role model. And like you said, like, just growing up, you see things that your parents do that may be like, oh, okay, well, this is something that I would definitely do as a kid, like my child. And then you have your own beliefs where you feel like, I don't necessarily think that was something that I would do, but that was just their way of raising you or raising me. And I think I would definitely be a good father, but like I said, I'm not ready for a kid right now. But going back,
I don't think you're ever ready. I think people who even plan it, like, you're not. I didn't plan mine at all, but like, even if I was to try to imagine that I was trying to have a kid, no, you're never ready.
I have a friend who literally told me that same thing. He was like, I don't think you're ever ready to have a kid. Like, people say like when you're ready, I guess, but that does make sense too, because you're not ready because you don't know what to like really expect. Like, you don't have a child of your own. Like, I see how my brother-in-law is with his kids, and honestly, my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law, and honestly, I kind of want to be like a similar way with my children, just because I feel like they, they're always doing stuff together, and just like a lot of family bonding. I feel like, we did that as kids, but not as much because my dad was always working. So that's something that I definitely would want to do. And like I said, I just have different beliefs from my parents that I would kind of instill upon my children, and just more importantly, just be very supportive. Not that my parents aren't supportive, but be very supportive and kind of let them know like there's nothing that they can't do. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And just kind of let them know, like, I feel like you don't really exaggerate to children. I mean, maybe it was exaggerated to us. They always said like, don't grow up too fast, because I guess look where we're at now, and it's just like, damn, shit can be very stressful sometimes. But I think kind of just let them know. I feel like even at a young age, maybe like at least 10 or 11 years old, like, life is very stressful sometimes. Like, enjoy being a kid right now. I want you. Yeah,
but I feel like if you tell a kid that, then
no, they're not gonna understand. But I feel like they go back like years later.
Oh yeah, they'll go back and think about it.
And be like, man, like, he was trying to tell me this, or he was trying to do that, and stuff like that. And whether it works or not, I'm not saying a kid's gonna be like a grown man at like 11 years old, but I just feel like it helps, because at the end of the day, like, I think your children are more like fortunate that you even like, I guess, cared to lay that upon them at that age, like they do care about me, you know what I mean, stuff like that. But are you, so like you said, so a part of you is not nervous, or a part of you is nervous maybe?
I was at first, but I think because I'm still growing and like concrete, or what's the word I'm looking for? Like, my foundation of who I am is more like sturdy now. Mm-hmm. I'm more confident in becoming a parent and like ready for it. At first, like I said, no, very nervous. But now I don't feel nervous.
What made you nervous, if you don't mind me asking?
I think you have a baby.
I guess it's just like when you're growing as a person, and like you still have some old tendencies or toxic tendencies or traits. Some things that like, because when you go on a personal and spiritual growth, you don't knock out all of the things that like your internal issues all at once. You do it one by one by one by one. And so I think just knowing that there are some things that I've like put off to the side that I just didn't necessarily want to focus or work through or heal from, and knowing that those things could roll over into my parenting and be projected onto my kid, I think that's what made me nervous. But now that I made it a priority to work through those things to make sure that like they don't roll over into my parenting and my kid doesn't have any like effects from that, that's where I feel less nervousing, because like I'm weaving out all the things that are past trauma, past hurt, past like I said, old tendencies, old ways, toxic ways, to be a better parent to my kid. And I'm more confident in the person that I'm growing to be, and like letting those things go and shedding them off, that I'm like less nervous. I think if I didn't do the work and I didn't prioritize the work and I just kind of like brushed it aside, I would still be very nervous, because subconsciously or consciously I would know that those issues are still lingering around inside me. And I know from my parents that those things are, they had a lot of things they didn't heal from as individuals, and that emotionally and mentally got projected onto me as a kid. So I feel like me just, like I said, clearing all of that makes me more confident in being a parent.
And I feel like that's something that's very like emphasized today, that it wasn't so much back then, as far as like your mental health and like, I don't know, like maybe things that you needed to work on personally, like and internally. Like I don't know if my mom necessarily believes in it, but I know my dad maybe back then. I don't know how he feels about the situation now or the topic now, but like, you know, back then, like I guess if you were just having a bad day mentally or whatever, like I guess back then you were just kind of seen like as a bitch for it, maybe, you know, like it wasn't okay to feel bad, or it wasn't okay to do this or that, especially when you're like a man, you know, because I don't know, I guess it's just, you're just kind of supposed to like just fucking suit up and just deal with everything, you know, just kind of deal with everything head on. But I think it's very emphasized now, and I think that's very cool that you personally feel like from your own experience, like with doing all of that, that it's going to help you be a better like person and be a better parent to your child. And I think that that's very true. I think that's very true.
Did you so you with you being pregnant, you still work out?
Not as much as I was, but I do make it an attempt to go here and there.
Is it like not as much?
Wait to tell what you told me.
So there was recently where we had seen your story, and I seen that you were like in some like workout clothes and you're at the gym.
You're working out.
And you're working out. And I was like, dude, that baby's gonna come out with a 6-pack.
Something like that.
I was like, that baby's gonna come out just like hitting PRs every day, bro. But so I mean, I don't know, like
I did want to touch on that. You
go ahead.
So when did you start working out? Like when did you start taking it seriously? If I'm not mistaken, you were like something.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about that.
Oh shit. Okay.
That's my.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll bleep that out. I'll bleep that out.
Yeah, I don't. But we can say modeling for a brand.
Okay.
I don't know. I played like soccer in high school. I was always active. Stayed active a little bit after high school, but I don't think I took it seriously probably until I went to Denver. Like it was more something before I moved to Denver. It was one of those social things, you know, everybody goes, I'm going to go, you know, the cool people are going, I'm going to go, you know, I don't really know what I'm doing, but if I go, like, I'll like, you know,
it feels good.
People will see me that, yeah. Exactly. But then when I moved, I saw a lot of old people like hiking and, going on the mountains in a bike. I mean, like they were like biking up, not downhill, dude, uphill. And I went on my first little hike and I was huffing and puffing after 5 minutes. And I was like, dude, I'm not in shape like I thought I was. And so once I dived into the whole spiritual and internal healing, I learned that like all of it is connected. Your mind, body, soul, spirit. I mean, it's all connected. Like you have to work on every single one of them. Like if you want your mind to be healthy, like your body has to be healthy. If you want your spirit to be healthy, like your mind and like all of it is just like a triangle. It ties together.
I never thought about stuff like this.
Yeah. I've heard that before.
Yeah, because like you're how do I explain it? So like for instance, you get up and go work out in the morning, your energy level is going to be like off the charts all day. You're going to have high endorphins, and with high endorphins and high energy, you're more likely to be in a better positive mindset, better attitude, you know, because you're releasing those endorphins and your body's on a natural high. So that's kind of like where they correlate with each other versus like if you have bad habits, you're kind of like more lazy, eating junk food, like that's toxic stuff, which is going to create toxic energy within your mindset.
I feel like you're taking a shot at me right now. No, I'm just fucking with you.
But, you know, like, if you ever notice, like, people who are, like, you know, well, you guys are very productive in, like, other ways, but, you know, like, people who are just more, like, bummy, they're more easy aggravated.
Yeah.
You know, they have bad habits where they're drinking and smoking 24/7, and then when you don't have, like, alcohol in your system or you're not under the influence, like, you're probably more aggravated, too, and, like, you get annoyed and you're more angry. So that's like what I call your spiritual and your mind health, and that's what that affects. And same thing with like depression, anxiety. I think a lot of that is self-induced. I don't think a lot of it is necessarily a disease like the government and everybody else
agree with
has
that. I agree with what you're saying.
Made it out to be. I think it's self-induced. And so if you're sitting at home, you have bad habits, you're comparing yourself to other people, you're not doing anything physically, like you're going to have depression, you're going to have anxiety. But you get up, you work out, and you do it for yourself. Like I said, better attitude, you're going to view yourself differently, you're going to look at the progress that you're doing, you're going to be in a way better mindset, attitude, you're going to treat people and life differently. So it all kind of like came together for me. Like I was reading books, really working on my mental health and my spirit, and you know, I was smoking a lot of weed, and that's where
hell yeah.
I felt like in my growth, like I was growing spiritually and mentally, but something wasn't like, it wasn't going full throttle for me, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And so then that's when I was like, oh well, you know, I'm gonna work out because I want to do a 14er. I want to be able to hike 14 miles and like not pass out. Like I want to be able to run on trails and high altitude and like feel good. And once I started making those physical goals and like achieving them, that's when like I feel everything in my life was just thriving. Like everything that I wanted or didn't know I wanted was just gravitating toward me, like money, friends, happiness, opportunities to travel.
This is all in Denver too?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so just seeing how much working on all that did for me, it allowed the universe to like attract, like the energy you put out is genuinely like what you receive from the universe or from God. And if you're doing all those good things, like everything that's meant for you will come to you. Mm. But when you are focused on the wrong things, like if you are focused just strictly on making money for a flex or just to say you have it, like your friend, some area in your life is gonna have like resistance. Like you may have friends, but you may not be happy with the people you're friends with. Like they may not be fulfilling. That's the word I'm looking for, fulfilling. Yeah. Like if you focus on the wrong things, the things that are considered negative, you'll miss out on having that fulfilling feeling in your soul. And
like in one aspect or another, like you're saying.
Yeah.
So I did have a question. So if somebody's like, oh, I work all the time, I'm too tired to go to the gym, do you feel like that's like
mindset
an excuse? Or do you feel like, oh, like if somebody's working like 12-hour days for a week and somebody else is doing it and they're going to the gym, do you think that person who's not doing it is like,
it's just
you think like, I don't know.
It's a mindset and it's a choice and it's comfortability. Cause like being tired, like, it's, I don't know. It's like a broad opinion I have on that. It could be mindset. It could be excuses. And it could just be comfortability. Because, like, that same person's working 12-hour shift. Like, yeah, they don't want to go work out to the gym, but if they're going to go to the bar for 4 hours, like, you have the energy to go to a bar and sit there and drink and keep yourself up and put toxic things in your body. Like, what's the difference from going to the gym for an hour and feeling good about yourself? Or, you know, people are more comfortable in, like, having their sleep and being in their home, so they choose having that comfortability over than sacrificing 1 hour of
working out.
1 hour of that comfortability to work out, to improve and better themselves. And some people don't have the drive to want to better themselves, so they just don't care.
I feel like that's how I am. But, like, if they tell me, like, hey, because I work in the plants, and they're like, hey, you have to drive 3 hours away, and we're working 12 hours, 15-hour days for fucking 30 days straight. Oh, I'm up every fucking day and I'm getting in. I'm working my ass off. But I can't go to the gym. I don't know why.
So there's a philosophy that I go by. I don't do it now that I'm pregnant, but I was doing it a lot before. And I don't remember who I heard it from. It was from a podcast or a book that I read. And he was saying, I think it was like 5 habits of successful people. And what a lot of like high successful people do is they work out in the morning before they go to work, because they're taking their energy and they're putting it into themselves and working on themselves before they go and work for somebody else for the rest of the day. So that way you wake up and you take care of you before you go and serve and work under somebody else. And so it's probably easier for you to get it done in the morning than it is after the end of your day, because you spent your whole day serving somebody else, working for somebody else, and you come home and you just want to be tired. But if you wake up an extra 2 or 3 hours early and you just go run and do that for yourself, 1, you're going to feel good about it. 2, you don't have to worry about when you get home how tired you are. And 3, that endorphins, that like body high is going to carry with you, and more than likely you're going to perform better at work too, because you're like up and moving. You don't have to slowly wake up throughout the day.
Do you feel like sleeping?
That makes sense.
Do you feel like sleeping early helps going to the gym, like in the morning? Because
I think what he's trying to say is, like, do you think obviously I don't know if you've ever done it before, or maybe you've heard of people doing it before, but let's say, because I have a really messed up sleeping schedule, so let's say that I have to be up by
6.
Yeah, let's say I got to be up by 6, right? So what time are you at the door?
It depends where I'm at, but the fact of the matter is,
it's all hypothetical. So let's just say I have to wake up at 4. I have to be at my job at
5.
Yeah, let's say by 5. Obviously, that's not enough time. So you'd clearly need, I guess, what would be the best recommended amount of sleep that you'd want to get before, like, let's say I want to wake up and go to the gym the next morning.
I don't know what, like, scientifically it should be. I know it worked for me. I would try to get like anywhere between 5.5 to like 7 hours of sleep.
That's not a lot. No. That goes back to me, like,
I feel like that's a lot. That's a lot for me.
Well, the average is 8. I mean, if you could get 8, that's an average. Like, that's what.
But I heard you're not supposed to.
Like more
or less.
I
feel like I heard successful people don't sleep 8 hours a day.
I've heard like.
Mix.
Yeah,
I've also heard mix.
I've heard some sleep longer, some sleep less. I think it's just a personal preference.
Yeah.
But like, I worked 4/10, so before I got pregnant, I was trying to get on prep for like bodybuilding, and I was waking up. I had to be at work at 8. I had to leave my house at 7. I still needed to eat breakfast, like take a shower and do all that stuff. So I'd wake up at 3:30. I'd go on a 2-mile run. Get done at like 4:30, take a shower by 5, cook my breakfast, meditate,
God
and then
dang, dude.
I would go work from 8 to 5:30, wouldn't get home till 6:30 because traffic.
I feel like that's like inspirational.
And then, but my time being at home would just like, I was going to school too, so it'd be get homework done. No, I mean, so with personal growth, there's gain and then you have some loss. And then like in the moment of the growth, like if you're trying to achieve a goal, there are going to be things you sacrifice. So like my time going out, hanging out with my friends was like very, very minimal. And they all knew that. And your true friends who like
don't understand,
who support you, yeah, they understand, they get it. They're not going to be upset that you go to the bar. The ones who are upset that you don't go to the bar with them, they just need your company. They don't care about your personal goals, your personal life.
That's a good point.
They don't really care about you. So those people, that's where you lose. Like you lose the people who don't really matter, or people you thought that were your friends. You really see that they're not your friends because they're not supportive of your goals. You just wipe those people out and you focus on yourself. And the ones who are there, they stick around, they support you, and they're not hurt about it. But you do have to, it's a priority thing. Like I said earlier, growth is always there if you choose it to be. It's just what you make a priority. So like I would come home, do my schoolwork by 8:39, take a shower in bed by 9:30, and then wake up and do it again the next day. I don't know if I could. I mean, yeah, like you said, the option's always there, but
man, I got a lot of work to do.
Man, it's like I don't know if I could ever go to bed that early, and maybe my body.
But your body and your mind, like mentally and physically, if you
Or if you wake up as early as you do and go throughout the day doing that.
And you have a lot of goals that you're trying to accomplish, and
Yeah.
you're putting all of your energy into every single goal. At the end of the day, you're going to be tired from putting your energy into every single one of those goals. Because I wasn't just putting my energy into my physical goal, I was putting it into my financial goal by going to work, and then by coming home and going to school. Like, that's another personal goal. So each one of my goals throughout the day that I worked on took a little bit of my energy for each one. And at the end of the day, you don't.
By like 8:39,
Yeah,
like
your
you said,
body
you're
automatically
exhausted.
wants to go to
Yeah,
bed.
that 100% makes sense. But like there's times where, like, let's say I got to be up at 4, and this is probably not healthy, but I gotta go to sleep not by 4. I gotta be up by 4 o'clock, right, and be at my job by 5. I'll probably go to bed around 11 or 12.
That's how I am.
And I'll still be able to wake up on time, leave, get to work on time, and be throughout the rest of the day for like 10 to 12 hours, and then come home. And like, that's when I'm like, so I'll be tired once I get home after I let my dogs out and do all the other stuff, feed them and stuff, and I'll be sleepy. And let's say I'll be sleepy for like, it'd probably be like a solid hour. And if I can power through that hour, I can literally be up for another, like, let's say I get home by like 5 o'clock. I get home by 5, I power through all the way to 6, and I could be up all the way until like 11 or 12 again.
But what are you doing in that power hour?
I'll like go to the store or something, pick up something that we might need.
Not shit.
And like, it won't be
your
anything
body's
like
not releasing enough energy to make your body tired. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you if you're not doing, I believe, like, if you're not doing a whole lot, and I've done this too. I'm not perfect. It took me a long time to get to where I was right before I got pregnant, which kind of bums me out because now I feel like I got to start all over again. Yeah.
It sounds like it's a lot of work too.
But I always tell people small steps. But in your day, like, when I was doing all of that, I was always like very, very productive in everything that I did. Because sometimes, like, I would get off at 5:30. Yes, I did my mile run in the morning, but I would have to hit weights. Like, running isn't just the only thing in bodybuilding. Like, not just cardio. You got to do a lot of weightlifting too. So sometimes, if it really just depended on my school schedule, and if I had everything done in advance, get off at 5:30, go to the gym for 2 hours, come home, study for a little bit, and then, eat, go to bed. But it's being very productive in that extra time that will make your body, like, doing things that release a lot of energy that will make your body tired. Because I used to do the same thing. I would work, doubles at my serving shift, or work all day from early in the morning. I'd work out before and come home, and that would be about it. And I would power through that little moment that I was tired, go in the grocery store, go see one of my friends, and then come home and be up all night. But it wasn't because I was, like, releasing a whole lot of energy. Like, I was just maintaining an energy level.
Yeah.
Like, you
100%.
know what I mean?
That's exactly what it feels like, yeah.
So if you find little things that, like, that take more energy than just having your, like, mind awake and attention to it, like, where you're having to put, like, more physical energy into it, you'll definitely be more tired towards the end of the day.
So what I want to do is, been wanting to do for a while now, is get a bike, so that when I come home, I could just kind of like bike around the neighborhood, because LaPorte's a very like small area, right? So like where I live at, I feel like there's a lot of, I guess, available ways for me to kind of bike around, and just kind of keep myself busy that way, and get my, I don't know necessarily if I'd say like workout in that way, but yeah, I could just kind of get like my workout in that way,
Yeah.
And that's something that I've thought about recently, but I never got around to it.
It doesn't always have to be like working out. Like, I used to longboard a lot, so if that would be something, like, if I didn't.
That's skating, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
skating. Just something that's more than just like keeping yourself inside, or like on a TV, or something that's just a little more proactive. That, like I said, doesn't have necessarily to be working out. Like, I feel like
That's something that's personally that I've wanted to do, though. That's what I'm saying.
What, working out?
Not
no, the bike.
Yeah, the bike, because I
Okay.
was working out for one point, for a little bit, and then like it would get inconsistent, because I'd come home and I'd be tired because I had the same sleeping schedule, and I'm just like, man, I wish I had stuff like at home, because I didn't feel like having to drive to the gym. Like, if I had like stuff and equipment at home, and I've gotten like some dumbbells recently, and like an ab roller as well, that surprisingly I can still fucking do. I don't know how, but I'm still able to do that stuff. It's funny because like there's people, and I guess that all just has to do with core, but there's people who've been.
I can't do an ab roll.
Yeah, there's people that are like skinnier than me that can't do that.
They'll do it and they'll just like face
They just like fall on the ground, and I'm like,
that was me. I tried it a few times. Like
it took some time. It did. I don't know how. I don't know how I'm still able to fucking do it, but like I still have things.
I think there's like a certain technique.
Yeah, definitely.
Gotta be.
Yeah, no, I think for sure, but yeah, so like things like that I have, and I've been kind of like trying to acquire more as time goes on. But one thing I know that would help is because like I used to like running, but I don't like necessarily doing it no more, just because like my shins will start to hurt really bad and stuff like that, and that's why I kind of want to get a bike to like, I guess vice versa in a way. But yeah,
I feel like when because I think about working out and I'm like, man, but I've never sat there and looked into, okay, what am I supposed to eat? How much am I supposed to eat? How much am I supposed to have? And I feel like a lot of people will want to work out, but they don't know what the hell to eat. And then I hear a lot of people say like, everybody's body's different.
Yes and no. Everybody's body's different, but like the way the body functions is all of our bodies function pretty much the same, unless like you have some medical issues, like legit medical issues. Pretty much like everybody's bodies.
So what
if you're healthy and you don't have diabetes or anything like that is what I'm saying, then your body's pretty much function the same way.
yeah.
Because I heard like people will eat chicken or something.
That's kind of always been my go-to, to be honest with you. Like if I'm ever trying to like drop weight or something
I'll make some chicken and I overeat it. I'm like, what do you want? Like, what the fuck am I doing?
I'll just kind of like limit myself, so I feel like I know when I'm gonna overeat. So I feel like just like it's like 2 things of chicken and like some white rice and maybe some broccoli.
Just portion control.
Yeah.
But basically, what I'm asking is, what the hell do you eat? Or is there like a scale that they have and you could like?
It just depends on how like deep you really want to get into it. Like for bodybuilding, like that sport, you do need a scale, and then like what you eat is like very, very
high in protein, right?
Well, it just depends on your goal. So like there's different divisions. There's like physique, there's bikini, and there's wellness. So bikini is like more like slim and tone. Physique is like where you see a lot of the women that are more like masculine all the way around, like a lot of, and then wellness is just like a glute and leg show for women. So I wanted to go into wellness, but that diet looks like my upper body days, I eat less carbs. And then on the days that I hit legs, I eat higher carbs because carbs, man, I'm not
I'm not a scientist.
I'm not a professional. Like this is just things that I've learned through
that have
my
helped
experience. Yes. Like I gained a lot of muscle mass in my legs when I was eating high carbs and high proteins on those days.
So it's
and
something
before then I was just eat like I did like what a lot of people thought, like, okay, I just need to like go on like a lean diet, no carbs, like a lot of protein.
Does fasting work?
It works, yeah. I've done intermittent fasting.
What do you like eat once a day?
It just depends. You can eat once a day, or you can intermittent fasting. Like, okay, I'm not going to eat from 12, or I'm not going to eat from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. You give yourself like a time frame, but like from 2 to 7, I'm going to eat, but for the rest of the day, I'm not going to eat. And in that 2 to 7 time frame, you eat whatever you want, however much you want. But once it hits 7, you don't eat again until 2 o'clock the next day.
And that helps you lose weight?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't personally I just don't feel like it's the healthiest way to lose weight, because I feel like if you're somebody who is on the move 24, like all day, all the time, like you constantly need to replenish your energy and your like nourish your body throughout the day, and like doing it in that one little time frame. I don't know. Your body takes so many hours to digest food, and if you're just always cramming it, and then you happen in that moment, in that time frame that your body's digesting it, and you're like releasing a lot of the energy, and then you can't put any food or nutrition back into it until 2 p.m. I just don't think that it's really good for the body in more of a consistent way. But people do it, and it works for people, but to each their own. It's not something that I prefer for myself.
Yeah, I've heard like 2 different opinions on it as well.
But as far as like what you eat, I've definitely learned that it has to do with the nutrients in the food. So like one thing I knew growing up, I saw like my mom and a lot of other people, even to this day, people who are not as educated on it, people look for calorie count. Like, oh, I can have 2,000 calories. Okay, cool. You can eat 2,000 calories, but in the food that you're eating, like, you have to look at what's in it, what those calories are made of. So you may be eating your 2,000 calories, but if you look at the box, that calorie count can come from 50 grams of sugar. So like, you're not really eating healthy, you're eating calories. So I always look at carbohydrates, fat, and protein when I buy food. Like, and make sure the sugar is low, because sugar is going to create fat. And so I don't do calorie count. I do like my macro count.
And what's macro count?
The fat, carbs,
gotcha.
protein in a food, the nutrients in the food. Mm-hmm. So it's like, people are on those like Weight Watchers, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. It's like, oh, I can eat 2,000 calories, and they go and get like muffins or, you know, like something that says low carbs, but it'll say low carbs, but if you look on the box, it's like really high in sugar, so it don't matter what the carbs are.
Hey, look, next time you come over here, my fridge is going to be filled with healthy food.
I've seen the damn, that damn Weight Watchers and stuff like that, like, that's a fucking crazy show, but just the stuff that they would have on there, like, I forgot what it was, but they'd like put like a pizza in front of them or some shit, and they just like would eventually like, yeah, you can have this, but if you have this, you pretty much get kicked out or some shit like that. I don't know how it worked, but there'd be people that would be like to the point to where they were crying, like, because they wanted to eat it, and then they would eat it, and they'd be like, all right, you can't go.
You don't
That's
eat
weird.
Any junk? I'm not junk food, but like fast food.
Well, now that I'm pregnant, I try not to.
Before,
no, not as much. I mean, I would have like cheat days here and there, because I mean, it's okay to have cheat days, but before I really got into it, I mean, I would eat fast food, but that's where I started to see the difference. Everything's trial and error. So like, I didn't, like I said, the whole, oh, let me just eat like these calories, like, oh, let me just do a lean diet, oh, you know, like, let me just work out, not even care about my diet, and then, you know, just seeing what worked and what didn't work, and watched my body go through changes. That's kind of where I learned like what worked and what didn't work. And I also am big on like educating myself. So when I first started going to the gym and getting into it, and I didn't see the results I want, then I started asking people. That's when I started testing other people's advice, but then it didn't necessarily work. So then I would go and like research, watch YouTube videos, Google, read books, and then just kind of apply those things to my
regimen.
Yeah, and see what worked and what didn't work. The fast food thing definitely I lost a lot of weight once I cut that out. Like, I saw a big difference.
And what were you like?
And energy level, because like, like I was saying, everything like ties into each other. So it's toxins, grease, all that grease and all that stuff is not good for you, and it drains your energy. You will feel more fatigue, and like, that was the biggest change that I first saw. The moment I cut that stuff out,
like, you felt
energy,
more,
slept better.
Yeah.
Like,
you feel better too. Like, I remember there was a point in time where I was like, damn, like, all right, I need to stop eating fast food, and I would go like weeks without eating, and I would just how you feel better, you know. It's not even me working out at all. It's just literally like, you just feel much better. Like, you don't feel like crap all the time. You're not like, I guess, as sleepy or anything like that. And there was something I seen recently. There was like or I think a coworker was telling me this, where he was like, you know, obviously we're not supposed, like, as a human, you're not supposed to be eating like processed foods or anything like that. I think like what you're really supposed to be eating is like red meat or something like that. Like, that's what our bodies are like meant to digest. And I think like enough processed food could like end up giving you like colon cancer.
A lot of it can give you a lot of different
shit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it. All the stuff that they put in it. But man, I had a question. I forgot what the fuck it was.
I have one. It's completely off topic, but I'm curious because you're a spiritual person. What do you think happens whenever we die?
Oh, I know the question, but go ahead.
I like the spiritual stuff a lot more.
All right, well, never mind then. No, I'm just kidding.
Spirituality and religion is completely different. They're the same, but they're different.
So wait, before you start to go in more of that, do you go to church?
Yes.
Like frequently, like Sundays, Wednesdays, and
Sundays. It's an excuse, but I should go more on Wednesdays, but I definitely go every Sunday.
Okay, I just want to.
And if I don't go, I definitely have my own routine with my relationship with God. I try to make it a point to do Bible study every other day or every day if I can, and really just trying to read it, study it.
I have a question.
Meditate on it. So that way I'm doing more than just filling up a seat at church just to feel good. Because I feel like you have to do more than just go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Go every Sunday.
Do you believe that? Okay, wait. You go.
No, you go.
Okay. Do you believe that like I don't know why I'm a firm believer in this, right? So I feel like obviously like I don't, and maybe it's not enough. I'm not sure, but I don't do. So I pray, and I think I started praying like this was years back. Like I think sometime after my grandma passed away in 2011, which I think we're in 8th grade. Yeah. Grade. And you know I prayed then and stuff like that, and even a little bit before that. But so you know I pray. I feel like I don't do anything like so bad, like where I'm like committing murder or anything like that, and like I don't go to church though. So I'm always wondering, like I wonder if like that's enough. Clearly it's not enough, but I just wonder if sometimes that has to do with like, I guess like my luck and what like maybe the universe gives me and stuff like that. And I don't know, like, do you feel like necessarily you would have to go to church and be consistent in that way in order to
get what you kind of want?
Blessings.
I guess like blessings and maybe even like just, I guess maybe even like a chance in heaven or anything like that. Like, is that in the Bible?
Levels to it. I think like okay, so y'all should definitely watch if you haven't watched The Chosen. It's basically about Jesus' life with his 12 disciples. Very, very enlightening. Like I have a hard time interpreting the Bible sometimes because it's so like old school in the way that it's worded. But the way this production did the stories out of the Bible made me understand it. There's like a visual to it.
Okay.
So definitely, and it kind of is relevant to what you're asking, because Jesus basically came down and like told the disciples like how to live like a godly life and how to make sure that they have eternal life. And there's just like different levels to it. I think like as long as you have good intent and if you pray, like there's a place to start, and then it's growth. Like you continue to grow and you can stay where you're at and do like the little bit or the minimum or the mid-level of things that you're doing, and you will still have a relationship with God. He's not going to not have a relationship with you, but it's like a relationship with people. Like the more you put into it, the more stronger it's going to get. And you have to look at it, even though it's something spiritual, you have to look at it as if it's like a person that you're establishing a relationship with. Like how you would establish a relationship with like a significant other. Like you put more time and more energy and into it, into that person, because you're growing it. So I feel like it's the same thing with like God. Like the more you put into it and the more that you do and just not the bare minimum, the more that relationship is going to flourish. And I feel like that you'll also get more, I don't want to say you'll get more blessings, but whatever God's plans for you, he'll like reveal it to you more and more as long as you're working on strengthening your relationship with him.
Okay.
That's deep.
That is deep. Do you
Okay.
So another thing I've been hearing a lot recently. Do you believe in aliens? And do you believe that they are do you believe that they are demons or like fallen angels?
I don't know. I don't like, this is where I guess I have conflict within my thoughts and my conspiracies. I don't know. I do believe in aliens, but I don't know where they tie together.
Like as
with
far as
God,
like
religion and spirituality and alien. Like I don't know. So
I've heard this theory, right? So
You want to cut it? Or no?
no, I think I have time. So I've heard this theory of where so no one knows what God looks like, right? That's the saying. That no one knows what he looks like. We all know that we're made in the image of God, but no one knows what he looks like. It's not like anything that I've heard that was like, oh, this could be true or anything like that. It's just a theory. And so like aliens are clearly like, they're way more advanced, like technically, like technology and stuff like that, right? They have all this different kind of stuff, right? So my theory is that I believe God put the aliens here way before he put us here. Right, way before he decided.
I've heard this before.
So way before he decided to like make us, and then I don't know. Maybe God could look like an alien. Like maybe he has two eyes. Maybe he has like a nose and two ears. Maybe he has one eye. Like I don't, you know what I mean? No one really knows. But like I believe, like maybe it was like, okay, well let's make this species like look like this, and then obviously he made a completely different other species. But then again, I don't know. Sometimes I think like, and I don't like. Sometimes I think like maybe the aliens are God in a way. Like it's weird. I don't know, but
Wait, do you believe they're like 100% real, or do you think it's questionable?
I think that they're real. I think that like
there's been too much evidence.
I think there's been
like,
but is it real evidence or is it planted? But is it planted evidence?
So like,
I'm not. The government can do what they want to do.
Like things you see on like internet now. Yeah, I get what you're saying. You don't know what's real and what's not, especially nowadays with like I'm sure you've seen like the AI voiceovers of like Drake and all this other people's doing stuff. Like who knows what's real nowadays, but. Like I genuinely believe it because I experienced something like maybe 2 months ago that was like very like it was crazy, and it's something that's hard to explain to people who weren't there. Like it was only me and my cousin that were there, and it was like this was a very like and different feeling.
But while this happened, like the next day they was talking
like around the same time that everything was going on. Like so I went to Twitter to see if anything like about UFOs was trending, right? And this wasn't like I seen it for like a split second. This was a thing like that was like there the entire time I was outside looking at this thing. And like it started getting a little weird. So like me and my cousin both went inside. It's crazy because we seen something like I looked at the moon, right? I always look at the moon at night sometimes. And I was like, man, like the moon looks beautiful today, you know? Just kind of gave it a quick glance, nothing crazy. And then my cousin looks at the moon. He was like, yeah, it looks like there's something in front of it. And like I'm looking at it, I'm like, damn, like it does. And it doesn't look like just like a phase of the moon, like a half moon or like a crescent or whatever. Like this looks like there's actually something in front of the moon. And it's like, say the moon's right here. It's like literally something that's kind of like, not fast, but it's like slow. And it's kind of like going in front of it and then like kind of coming back out. And as we're looking at this, like it's crazy how we felt it. But like we felt like a drop in like the temperature. Like get really cold, like the points where like your fingers started to hurt. And I've never felt anything like this before. And it's like, it's just very hard to explain. Like I know you're probably, see the way she's looking, she's like, I don't know about all that.
Well, no, I just like have my own theories.
Yeah, and like to each their own. I'm not like offended by anyone feeling this way or anything.
Do you really
like
think the world's a circle? Like we're really
like in a
dome?
Round?
No, it's called
I think
like
it's flat.
Yeah, I think it's flat.
I don't know about that theory. I don't know about that theory, but
see, because I don't know. I think the world's
like a simulation.
It's definitely flat.
No, I think it's flat, but I think that the government wants us to believe that it's a circle. Because like my thing is like, how do we really know we went to the moon? Like, even though technology is advanced so much now, that doesn't mean that it wasn't
back then.
Yeah, like they could have just kept the advancement of technology from the public. So what if it was just a green room and somebody standing on like a production company and they say that we go to the moon and like everything that we see right now as far as space, how do we not know that that's just not production and it's actually happening?
Yeah.
Because I saw something on the other day, like Elon Musk had sent some spaceship up, but it didn't end up going. And it's something a lot of them have tried to do. They try to break like some sort of like atmosphere barrier.
Firmament.
Yeah, but nobody's been able to. But I also have seen something on a spiritual book or something that I read that like because the earth is flat, it has this the dome and you can't break through it. So
that's why people said that they went to the moon. Dude, no, the fuck you didn't.
That is
so I'm saying, how do we know that aliens are real, or is it just something that like like they're just trying to like fuck with our head and like
maybe kind of keep us distracted in a way?
Yeah.
I mean,
because that's how the devil works too, from keeping us from God. Is like if you can find something to distract them from believing or thinking that is true. Yeah. Like, and the devil's just doing his work.
That's a very, very good point. I've never really thought about it like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've thought about it from like,
but not like that.
Not like that. But I've thought about it like to where like they could just be distractions from what the government actually wants us to be paying attention to. But so, I mean, like I said, like that story, like it was crazy because like you just personally, you had to have been there to feel this. Like it was like as if you feel the temperature in this room, right? I mean, it wasn't in a room, but it was outside. Let's just say it was like probably
70.
It was like 50 degrees outside. It was pretty cold, but it just got even colder, and it was like a very like weird like feeling.
Like
Could
it
have
did
been
to me
like a
to jump.
spiritual being, because like
It
they
could
say
have
when
been
they
something.
like all the paranormal activity stuff. Usually
Yeah.
it's cold when there's a spirit nearby.
Yeah.
But like in the sky though, it was crazy how it looked. And then we go inside, and I'm like, I have to see if like maybe UFOs are trending. And sure enough, UFOs are trending on Twitter. And it's like apparently like there was a UFO that was shot down or something like that. But
it was 3
I don't know if I necessarily believe that. I did at the time, but I don't know if I believe in that. But it just kind of crazy how like coincidentally that was trending at the same time that happened. So I was like, I don't even know what the hell I just witnessed. I really don't. Like I can't even explain it, to be honest with you, and it's very hard to explain to people because it doesn't sound real.
Yeah.
I get it.
But see, she doesn't believe me, bro.
No, I do. Because I've had some experiences, maybe not like alien-wise, but more spiritual. But I don't really talk to people about them because I feel like I just look like I'm crazy.
Yeah,
But like I feel like I've definitely, when you become more
Aware.
like okay, so what is the story that I always tell people? Okay, so think about when we're kids, like kids have imaginary friends, right? Well, they have imaginary friends because when you're a kid, you're born with like the purest state of mind, like the purest of your souls. You haven't really like corrupted your soul yet in any sort of way, so you're able to see on a realm that like we don't see. And a lot of times, like where you kind of stop seeing like that spiritual realm is more than likely because what are our parents? Oh, it's just your imagination. It's not there. So you're learning to turn off a part of your brain that essentially was activated when you were from birth to like a young child. And that's why you like a lot of like kids have, I believe, imaginary friends. Like I had 3. And when I look back now at it, it's so creepy to me because I remember feeling so passionate about these imaginary friends. Like my mom shut the door on one and I was like screaming. I made her open the door and like pat the imaginary friend down. I was like, no, she's hurt. She had, like, I would buckle them in the car, and like they would have me go and hide in places in the house that was really like
that
odd.
is crazy.
But were you really seeing something?
Well, I don't remember now. Is it like I can't remember if I really was seeing something, but I really felt somebody, like 3 people talking to me that were like,
Crazy.
you know.
Did
but
your
then
mom
my mom, as I grew up, everybody told me saying, oh, it's just your imaginary friend. So I guess I learned to like shut it off and not pay attention to it. But now that I'm more, I guess, like awake or
aware, like you said,
aware consciously,
of what it might have been.
because I was living at my grandma's house at that time when I was young, and I moved back to her house in Deer Park 2 years ago, and ever since I moved back in there was like a lot of weird like spiritual stuff that I felt. Things. And it just made me go back to a kid. Like, what if there were spirits in the house and they were just interacting with me because I was at that pure state of mind as a kid? And I never felt them again because I turned it off, didn't acknowledge them, like didn't believe in it. But now that I'm more aware, like they're trying to get my attention.
That's fucking crazy.
And like it happened one time. I was in the middle of the night. I woke up. I went and got something to eat. And I turned the light off and I go all the way back to the hallway and the light turned back on. And I just was like, no. I was like, nope, not doing it. So I go and turn the light back off. And I come back and she has this like china cabinet with the doors that open. And something told me just to look at it, and the china cabinet had opened. And I was just like, oh, hell no. But I've also read that when spirits try to interact with you, the moment like you're curious, like you kind of look into it and you talk to them and you like welcome them in, the more they're gonna like strongly interact with you. But if you tell them no, like I don't want to be bothered, like leave me alone, they'll leave you alone. So the moments that I was curious and I was like, oh, what's going on, like I would hear like tapping on like the roof, like I would just some weird little stuff. But the moment I was like, no, don't mess with me, I don't want to talk to you, I'm not fucking with you tonight, like it would just stop.
That's interesting.
And
that is very interesting.
It brought me back to like the imaginary friends as a kid. I was like, that's what I told my mom, was like, dang, like I think there's spirits in my grandma's house. You don't know if they're good or bad because you can guess, but I feel like you can never really know what the intent of a spirit is.
100%.
So you don't ever want to interact with them.
Yeah,
even if you think that they're good, no.
Because they're very like manipulative, you know? And you don't, like you said, you can't, there's no like facial expression to kind of see where their, I guess, intentions lie. Mm-hmm. And like there was a time where my parents, they played with the Ouija board when they were younger. and my mom was trying
no.
to. Yeah, my mom was trying to interact with her great grandfather. I believe her grandfather that just passed away, and apparently, like she said, it was like there was a spirit that came in that was like perceiving to be him, and then she said like she almost felt like he came on the board, and they were kind of like taking turns on the board, and he told my mom like bad,
spelling like get out.
It felt like get out, and it was like bad board, and the other one was like trying to just communicate with them and telling them like certain things. And I think after that, after both my parents had messed with it, I don't know how old they are, but I think it was like from, I don't know, I'm just gonna throw an age out there. I think it was like from the age, like I think my parents were like from like 17 to like 21. My dad would have these like seizures.
Well, it said when it told my dad when you turned, I think a certain age, I'm not sure if it was 18 or 19,
that he was gonna die.
You're gonna die or something. And as soon as he turned that age, he started having seizures.
Yeah, it was very weird. He grown out of it, but it was a very weird thing. I remember like asking my parents about it all the time, and they're like, "Dude, that was a very insane experience." But to move on from this, before we wrap this up, I did want to ask you about this.
Say something.
Go ahead.
I think that it's in the Bible too that anything that it presents like spiritually, like a spirit, you're not supposed to mess with, because anything that like could portray itself as godly like, which is spiritually, is
more than likely not.
It's like a trick from the devil. Yeah. So you're not supposed to interact with them. Even if you think that, like you're saying, you think that it could be somebody from your past, or like a family member that's trying to interact with you. I think it's an ungodly thing to interact with them. Like interact with a person like on the earth. Yeah. Like it's not something that like I guess you could say like God's like angels or maybe himself would even do. Yeah, I don't know who told me, but I got this theory from I can't remember. I don't remember who talks to me about this stuff, but I got this theory from somebody. It's like, if you do Ouija board, or if you do like palm reading, like whatever they're telling you, you're basically like, I've heard that you're selling your soul for that fortune to become true. So like if they say like you're gonna die at 18, well, there's something that you're giving up within your soul in order for that fortune to become true. Like you're basically. I've heard that, or like the same thing. Like payment for it, yeah. Is it the same thing with like your cards being read to you and stuff like that? Yeah, I've heard that same thing as well. My mom's always like, don't go to that because it's like witchcraft type shit. But something I did want to ask you: do you know the sex of the baby yet in the name? Yes. Do you want to share it or no? A lot of people already know. It's a boy. His name's Jackson. Okay. Damn, that's pretty cool. Where did Jackson come from? It's my baby daddy's family name. Okay. It was traditional Jackson, but I like Jax with the X better, so we kind of agreed on that. Yeah. So JAXSON? XON. Oh wow, that's awesome! Damn, is that that's a special shirt that's made? Yeah, my friend got it for me. It came in the mail a few days ago, and now I can't take it off. That's pretty sick. Can you show the camera real quick? Oh, it just says "Mom," "Mama," and then the Jackson little stamp right there. Jackson James. Awesome. Dude, that's pretty sick, dude. Yeah. That's awesome. Wow. So a boy. Did you hypothetically having a child? Did you always want a boy first, or maybe a girl? No, I want a girl. I feel like that's how it works out. Like my older brother wanted a boy for the longest, and he had Two girls first, and then he had one boy, and then he tried for another boy and had a girl, and then he had another boy. He's got a big family. I thought I was gonna have a girl because all my siblings were boys. Girls. Oh, girls. Oh, shit. Yeah. That's interesting. Well, this was a good conversation. You were very well spoken, by the way. So we're done. Yeah. Whoa. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time left, and these cameras are running out. I don't know if you can see it blinking or not, but so that's one thing we're also working on right now is to get better cameras to have longer conversation with people, because I hate personally cutting these conversations short. Yeah. But if we wanted to stay here and charge them, it would literally take up to 2 hours to charge these things. It sucks. Crazy. But I do want to thank you for your time today and coming out, and even your willingness to kind of reach out and ask us about it. It definitely means a lot. I like when my brain is being picked at. Yes. Yeah. I like sharing my experience. So. Yeah, it's very interesting too, because we're all so young, you know what I mean? So when we started this podcast, it's what do we really have to talk about? But honestly, being, I guess 25 years old, all the experiences that different people go through, it's very interesting to hear, and kind of at the end of the day, I always say this on here, it's everyone's just trying to make it, right? Everyone's just trying to, provide for their families or their significant others, or just maybe be better themselves. And
I always feel like there's no need to be an asshole in those, like, at all in this world, like, for no reason, you know, whether you're having a bad day and you decide to take it on with someone that has nothing to do with your situation. I feel like there's no need for any of that in this world. Like, you know, spread love, positivity, and just be kind to one another. How you'd want to be treated is always how I feel like you should be towards people. And there's a lot of people that feel that way, and there's a lot of people that don't. And unfortunately, like, I think in my field, I've interacted with a lot of people that don't give a fuck and don't feel that way, because I feel like it's a lot better to have a good conversation with someone, especially us. Like, we haven't talked in so fucking long, but like you said, we can get here and just have a conversation like we've been friends for like the past 3 years or some shit. Like, I've always liked that about myself, and just being able to do that and just having good conversations personally. Like, I feel better. I feel like I've gained something from this, you know, like every conversation I have with people on here, like, I feel like I gained something from it, you know what I mean? And that's ultimately like kind of the purpose of why we did it. But I do,
thank you for coming on.
Yeah, I do want to thank you a lot. It means a lot. And honestly, like, if you do want to come on again and just fucking bullshit, whatever.
Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll definitely come if you guys want me to come again.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, it was a good conversation. We can continue to talk about aliens and shit. But all right.
This is our first podcast, too.
Oh, for real? Is your first one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fucking awesome. We want to be everyone's fucking first podcast. That's awesome. But yeah, all right. Well,
thank you for coming on.
Thank you. And go ahead. What were you saying?
If you have anything to say to people, I don't know, motivationally, spiritually, if you want to add.
If you want to, you don't have to. You don't have to.
Probably save it for next time.
That's good. That's good.
We're like slowly getting comfortable.
Yeah, that makes sense. But all right, man. Well, y'all guys take care. Y'all be safe, and
we'll see you on the next
on the next one.